Alright guys, so we're going to take this flange and we're just going to use this wire brush on this wire wheel and wire wheel all the rust and junk out of there before we put the bearing in, put it back together. That's about it. Alright guys, for this next part, we're going to be putting the bearing back inside of the flanges and screwing them together with these nuts and bolts. Now, the kind of nuts and bolts that I'm using are just hex, regular coarse thread, 1/4 inch by 1 inch bolt and nut. What I did was I just bought them in quantity, and there's 100 pieces per box, so that should get us through, you know, oh god, probably 15-20 spiked wheels, if not more than that. So you know, the you don't want to go too long. You don't want to go longer than 1 inch, because I found out that if you go out too long, then there's a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch extra thread going through the other side, so on the bolt. Now I've got the self-locking nuts, and you could get a lock washer on there. That's really up to you guys. That's your preference. So this was mine, and yeah, we'll get this thing put back together. Now, you guys want to remember that these bearings need to fit snugly inside of these flanges. When you put this thing back together, I don't recommend using a drill with a socket on there, because you don't want to get this thing too off kilter where you can't, if it's not centered in there right, it'll wobble whenever it's going. So you want to make sure that you get this in securely, but do it the right way. And these flanges have flat pieces, flat parts, so you kind of know which side you need to mirror up to. So let's get started. The best thing to do is to find which hole these lines up in. You guys can still see me here. So get one going in there, and then a second, find the bottom hole. And then what I do is, it's always easier to have a second set of hands here, but if you don't, you can put your finger in the bearing and kind of pull out on it, and hopefully get it to work right. And I was at a different location my first time, where I had it supported on the ground a little easier and a little better. match up my flat points on my flange. So it's on the bottom on that side. So I'll match that up right there. There, it's centered up right there. Now, the hard part is keeping it there. So I got one in there, one nut and one nut started. Find the second one. There we go. Just like that. Now, you can let this thing loose. At least everything won't fall apart. You'll just have to reseat the bearing in the proper place. Now, what I also do is I've got the nuts countered from angle to angle on this side, or from point to point on this side. On the other side, I go with the bolt head down, so it just adds some additional support. That way not all the nuts are on one side. So if that makes any sense to you. If not, then I don't know what to tell you. Now on these nuts and bolts, you'll need to use, if you go with the 1/4 inch size, you'll need to get 7/16 inch ratchet and wrench. Like I said, this is easier doing it with 2 people or on a place where you can size it up, or on the ground where it supports it a little better. I haven't reseated the bearing yet, but I want to snug this up a little bit on each side before I do that. And I've got a little ratchet wrench here as well. Alright, it's getting a little snug. I don't want to snug that side up there anymore, because I can still move this bearing around a little bit until it's seated right. Another thing, you don't want to go super tight, just snug where it won't come off. But you don't want to get anything out of kilter either when you're running. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a bearing that works. So, I'll show you another video later on replacing a spring on the rotary hoe, how to do it. And that's going to be a little bit of a learning curve because I have yet to do one myself. So hopefully this helps you guys out on saving a little bit of money. The way I figure it, I reused the flange, reused the spike wheel, replaced the bearing, replaced the nuts and bolts where the rivets were at, and I saved approximately, let's say, $40. Maybe $39. So you do that on every single spiked wheel on a rotary hoe, then you're going to be saving quite a bit of money. So hopefully you guys liked the video. If you did, or if you got some use out of this, if you got some knowledge on how to do this, then please like and please subscribe, and hopefully there's more videos to go. Thank you guys.